Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about COVID-related penalty relief. And also, we're going to go over the Form 843. My name is Audrianna, and this is Shakira.
Hi, everyone.
All right. So again, we're going to give you an overview and a look into the Form 843. Again, my name is Audrianna. I'm the product manager for TaxBandits and Shakira. She is our customer success representative.
Yes, that is correct.
So today we will explore the following topics. We're going to talk about the COVID era refunds, why they may happen, who may be eligible, what may be refunded, the Form 843, a breakdown of that, and then some steps to file the Form 843. Okay. All right. So, why COVID era refunds may happen. So, COVID-19 disaster relief, the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act, the major disaster relief postpones certain tax deadlines, including your quarterly and annual payroll returns, your income tax returns, estimated tax payments, payroll tax deposits, and then it gives the IRS authority to announce disaster tax relief. All right, Shakira, do you want to talk about some of the IRS system operates as normal?
Most definitely. So, why COVID era refunds may happen? There were a lot of returns that were assessed penalties, business owners, there are nonprofit organizations. Millions of returns were assessed a lot of penalties, and because of those penalties, they caused a lot of late fees and filings. So, right now, that is what was going on with
Right.
the
So during the COVID era, there were some penalties that were assessed. But there was a ruling. So it's the Abdo versus Commissioner. It was in 2024. There was a ruling that the disaster relief under the IRS code section is automatic and mandatory. Automatic tax deadline postponed for eligible taxpayers. Excuse me. Some more insight into another court ruling, the Kwong versus United States. So this ruling was basically, the IRS was required to automatically postpone federal tax filing and payment deadlines due to COVID-19. It was a federally declared disaster period. So what this means is there was a lot of failure to file penalties, failure to pay your penalties, and there was related interest. So this ruling was to kind of advocate for these penalties, to say, to discuss the declared disaster period. So there should not have been any assessed penalties. This was a little background into
correct.
the ruling.
And so with that decision, it also opened the doors for taxpayers to seek refunds and abatements of penalties and interest that were improperly assessed as well.
Right, exactly. So again, with these two federal court rulings, they both came to the same conclusion, and it created a legal foundation for these refunds. But a big piece of that is it's not guaranteed. So we could talk about who's eligible, who may be eligible. So it's pretty broad. If you're a tax professional, if you're a small business owner, if you're just an individual. So if you received any type of penalty during this time period, you could be eligible for this.
So let's talk about who may be eligible. You can ask yourself these questions where you assessed a late filing or a late payment penalty for any federal tax return between January 20th, 2020 and July 10th, 2023. Did you pay the penalty?
Mhm.
If I didn't pay the full penalty, did I pay a part of it?
Mm.
Some a little bit. Have I not received a full refund or abatement for these penalties? If you answer any of those questions yes, then you may be eligible.
So, when we get to that, we want to talk about what's going to be refunded again. So, if the law is passed, potential refunds will include the penalty itself, like
Mhm.
Shakira mentioned, any interest that you may have paid on that penalty. So, there's an example: $1,000 penalty assessed in 2020. If the interest rate was 19%, you would receive about 1,190. That's just an example. But the refunds are not automatic, and they are tied to the ongoing legal developments. All right. All right. And this brings us to the breakdown of Form 843. So, what is the Form 843? It's basically the form that you're going to use to claim this. It'll ask the IRS for the refund or to remove, certain penalties, certain interest, other tax related charges, and then again, any disaster relate or relief related refunds.
Mhm.
How does it work? So the 843, it protects your right to request a refund. Not every detail is needed to submit. It's kind of, it depends on your circumstance or your scenario, but it must be printed, it must be signed, and it
Mhm.
must be mailed to the
Yes.
IRS. So once you mail that to the IRS, they will review your claim. And okay.
Okay, let's talk about Form 843 and why is important. We're going to talk about its importance in the COVID era refunds.
Mhm.
Um, Form 843 is important because it helps, once again, protect your right to a refund while the legal issues are still being resolved. The case is still ongoing. There's not a decision that's being made yet. So it's protecting yourself while they have this going on. So if you believe that you were incorrectly charged penalties or interest, filing the form is basically going to let the IRS know that you're making a claim. That way, if the courts or the IRS determines you're entitled to relief, your claim is already on file. Timing is definitely crucial and
Yeah.
critical. So if you're seeking any type of refunds or related to this specific situation,
Yeah.
July 10th is the deadline.
Yes.
Uh, like the claim, it must be mailed by July 10th. It has to have that postmark on there.
Hmm.
The envelope, and make sure that it's postmarked by July 10th to be considered timely.
Right.
And there's a short turnaround for it. So,
Okay, so we'll go a little deeper into the actual steps when you're filing this Form 843. So what should you have on hand? Obviously, you want to have your IRS notice showing any penalties or interest that you accumulated. You want to have the copies of the tax returns involved. You want to definitely have your IRS account transcripts. These are an important piece if it's available. Um, your your taxpayer identification number, so your SSN or your EIN, you need that so they can identify you with the penalty or the notice that you received. Um, the tax periods you're requesting it for, and any supporting documentation. So anything related to the any interest or penalties or whatever you accumulated, it is giving you a reason to file this form. Have all that supporting documentation to go along with that.
yes. Okay, so the steps to file the Form 843 is pretty, straightforward.
Yeah.
You want to identify the tax years that you're requesting a refund for, gather
Mhm.
your supporting documentation, you're going to complete the Form 843, explain the reason for your refund request, and then
Mhm.
you're going to sign the form and then you will mail it to the appropriate IRS address before the deadline, guys, which is July the 10th.
It's coming up really quick.
Mhm.
Again, like there's a short turnaround time. So you want to make sure that you gather all supporting documentation, anything that you need. You want to have that ready to go.
Yes.
Okay. So again, here's some more steps to file the Form 843. So amounts not known, you need information you do not have, identify tax period, explain the reason for the request. Again, the state exact amounts are unknown in that you're asking the IRS to determine the appropriate refund amount. And again, can't stress it enough, you have to mail this form.
We have a question from Emily in the chat. Emily's Swarthout. I don't want to.
Okay, yes. Okay, yeah, and I'm sorry, we forgot to mention that we do have the questions rolling in, so
Yes,
we
sir.
will
We
we'll
do.
do that
We do
as we
apologize
go.
about that. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Emily says, I assume penalties are being contested, never paid. This form isn't necessary. Is there another form to follow through in contesting these penalties? So, if so, you're saying you didn't pay the
Mhm.
penalties. Um, it's dependent. So you can still definitely use the Form 843 to make your request.
Yeah. Ultimately, it will be the IRS who will be able to make the final decision if you're going to get.
Right, because the form is to get the any interest or penalties
Mhm.
collected back. So if there wasn't any, if you didn't pay any, then there wouldn't be a refund to give back, but they could help you, settle that. I would definitely reach out to them to get that settled for sure.
Right.
Okay, we got, how do I get Form 843? So, you can file the form just about anywhere. You can get the PDF copy. You can, the IRS.com, get the PDF. You can download it. So it's very accessible. And then also we have partnered with um,
Penalty back.
Penalty Back, so
Yeah.
you can go through that process, and then once you get into their portal, they'll provide the 843 for you as well. Okay. Let's see, do we have any more? What years are covered? So, Christina, what years are covered? It would be the years that, were related to the COVID period.
So it would be from 2020 to 2023.
Yeah. All right. So we will continue answering the questions that we have in the chat. If you haven't dropped a question yet, feel free to do so. We'll go through them now. Is the reason for request the court ruling or something else? If you can, so the court ruling is just to, give you that freedom and just to say that we have this right. So this is what this ruling is. Request would be to, if you paid any penalties or any interest, this request would be to, get that back if you paid any during this time period. If that makes sense. If you need, any clarity on that, feel free to reach out. What else we got? Would it not also be 2019? So it wouldn't be for 2019. It would start, the time period
January
starts
20th.
2020.
Yeah, the dates for January 20th of 2020 for this uh, ruling. That would be the date that it starts. It's not going to be 2019.
Right. Okay. So Stephanie asked, can we show the steps for completing the 843 again? I would say to that, I'm happy to, send the steps, or we can connect with her and we'll get
Yeah.
the steps again. And also, this webinar will be recorded. You'll get a copy of it to your email, so you'll have it on hand. You can, go through and go to whatever slide that you need to get these steps as well. But if you need any further assistance, you can always, contact our support team, support@taxbandits.com. Let's see. Yes, need to explain why.
Yeah, I'm making express what we say.
Oh, I see. Okay, so yes, the reason that you're making the request, Jared, Klima, sorry if I'm saying it wrong, but you would explain the reason for the request as if whatever penalty or interest you would have to expand on that. So did you acquire a penalty and pay a penalty? Was it any interest or was it something, you know, we just had to specify the exact reason for it. So that would be what you include in the
Yes.
reason and any other additional details that are related to the scenario. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so, again, to expand on it, you can include, like, that you have any penalty or interest charges because of the government, okay.
Okay, so we had a question come in before the chat that we wanted to also give a chance to get those answered. One question was, what should a business do if it has a late filing penalty for the year 2020, but it has not been paid yet? The best recommendation for that would be to contact the IRS if you have not paid the penalty. Once again, this claim is going to be for those who have been assessed late fees and have actually paid them, or any penalties and they have already paid them.
Mhm.
We had another question that came in earlier. Someone had mentioned that they said, I thought my 941 forms were approved when I filed them. In my situation, I started a business and started withholding taxes on my employees during the ERC timeframe.
Mm.
I was new at running a business and did not know the proper procedures. Now, the ERC does not have anything to do with the Form 843. So, and also in acceptance, if you did file with tax bandits your 941s, they were sent to the IRS and they accepted them. That doesn't mean the same status as approved for that specific credit. So you would have to reach out to the IRS about the ERC credit.
Right, they
Yeah,
are completely
totally different.
unrelated. Yeah.
Another question that we get for this form 843, can a nonprofit's 501c3 organization qualify? Um, yes, you can. If you believe that your company was or your organization, they were assessed late penalties or any fees and you paid them, you can definitely fill out the form 843 as well.
Okay, next one. Okay, so how do we know if we get the refund? After you submit the Form 843, obviously the IRS will review your claim. If your claim is approved, the IRS will issue the refund or apply the amount to any outstanding tax balances. So it depends on your account and it depends on your scenario.
Mhm.
Um, you might receive a written correspondence from the IRS regarding the outcome of your claim if any additional information was needed. And then the processing times can vary. So it could take several months to receive any decision alone, let alone the refund itself. Okay. All right. Let's see. So that's it on the webinar for today to
Yes.
discuss the penalty relief and the Form 843. To have an upcoming webinar. It's Beyond the Basics. It's going to explore tax, or excuse me, state withholding and unemployment insurance reporting. So it's going to dive into, more specific state reporting details. It's going to be a good webinar. If you want to join it, if you're interested in it, scan the QR code to register for this webinar. And then we'll discuss the fundamentals of the state withholding. Um, yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining us today. If again, you'll get a copy of this webinar. So if you want to kind of go over the details, the steps, or any additional things that we discussed, you can go through it once you receive it in your email. If you were registered, you received it. So, and then if there's anything that you're still not clear on, if you have additional questions, you can contact us at our support team phone number is the 704-684-4751. Again, that will be found in the recording as well if you need that. And then support at taxbandits.com
Yes.
for any additional emailed questions. But that's it. Thank you for joining.